to go to Slido and share your opinion about the following question. What is your biggest concern about digitalizing the travel process? As you know, this session is going to be about digital travel. How do we reform travel to become a digital process? How do we benefit from the digital transformation in travel? So please select your options. What are your concerns? Surveillance and privacy, lack of interoperability between countries, exclusion of people without digital access, technological problems. I need to learn more to decide. So obviously, you give us the top, your biggest concern. Operator, as they vote, could you put the results real time? Please begin voting. Okay. We'll leave it a little bit longer because it seems to be there is competition between the different ones. Okay, operator, you can stop. Take a photo of it, put it up on the social media, and make it available to the community. Okay, so you could see lack of interoperability. This is why initiatives like CD Hub should be important, because we do want to ensure that when people travel as a use case, the interoperability is already taken into account. The second highest one is surveillance and privacy concerns. I expected that, because we're giving authorities information about our itineraries, etc. Exclusion of people, but it seems like you believe in technology. You don't believe that your telephone will run out of battery or something while you're entering in front of passport control. Anyway, this is an interesting quick poll. Okay, so now we are ready to have our second keynote of the day. Operator, could you put up the keynote? And I have the pleasure to welcome to the stage Kalkidan Arega, who is the CEO of Topan Security Ethiopia, to deliver the keynote. Kalkidan, operator.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, let me just figure out how to switch. Morning, everyone. I'm Kalkidan Aragga. I'm the CEO of Topan Security Ethiopia. For those of you that are not familiar with who we are, it's a joint venture between Topan Security and the Ethiopian government through its sovereign wealth fund, Ethiopian Investment Holdings. Our goal is to build secure identity systems for Ethiopia and Africa. So I'd like to start off by introducing a data-driven blueprint that Topan uses to build systems and solutions around the world. We use an integrated ecosystem called the Circle of Life. Why? Because each stage of life requires efficient identity systems, starting with birth and evolving through the different stages of life, whether it's education, marriage, taxes, voting, retirement, and so on. Further to building systems around this circle of life, we also build systems for non-citizen services and also outlier sectors like livestock, which are important to our African nations. This helps us track ownership, health, subsidies, and even food security, and in some countries like ours, exports. We begin by using a national population data bank, and we build systems that are citizen centric and interoperable, connecting to and with every government platform and service. It could be health, it could be social services, revenue, all government platforms that require citizens' services. The end goal is to always have smarter, efficient services, trusted data, better, efficient lives, and stronger statistics. When digitizing identity, like all platforms, the citizen's ID starts with an ID registration on a mobile via government portal. After submitting the online form, after using the online form, they complete biometric capture at local centers. This could be government offices, post offices, schools, whichever one. The citizen data is then stored electronically, and the digital ID is issued to the citizen's mobile device. As soon as they get this, the digital ID automatically gives them access to services such as social grants, school registration, banking, any service that a normal citizen would have to access on a daily basis. And for those that like to have that physical ID card, we print it and it's couriered to the citizen's nearest location, saving time, money, and travel. I'd like to introduce a use case that Topan has been part of working on, and it's SingPass. It's Singapore's national ID system. It's a digital ID system. This ID system gives secure, easy access to public and private sector services, government applications, banking, healthcare, education, even services that are from the private sector. It includes smart features such as biometric login, digital signatures, ID verification, and even authentication. It's used by millions, and it's a global benchmark for a citizen focused, trusted, and innovative digital design. The key takeaway here being that it's trusted. It's trusted by the government, it's trusted by the citizens, by the private sector, by the public sector. It fights that fear of being scammed. So it shows how far digital identity can go. It's used by 4.5 million people. It gives access to over 2,000 digital services and supports over 350 million transactions per year. It connects users to everything from school registration to banking to all services that a citizen would need to access on a daily basis. It's a powerful example of what digital identity can achieve. So, just to name a few, it enables citizens to access a wide range of digital government services, literally at the palm of their hands. They can access exam results, they can file taxes, apply for housing, use online banking, even register birth, and also obtaining business licenses and permits. It's a very practical example of how digital identity systems transforms government services into efficient and accessible systems. So this is an interesting and very powerful slide. It's helped boost Singapore's digital economy so much. In just 5 years, the economy almost doubled. It's now worth 82 billion or 18% of the GDP. This success was powered by secure and inclusive identity systems. But digital ID doesn't just drive inclusion, it also enables mobility. Let's explore how it transforms travel through the story of Dawit. Dawit is a very common Ethiopian name. We'll be using him as our example today. It's a real example of how identity systems improve everyday life. So many Africans still struggle with outdated, insecure ID systems. Dawit, an MRP machine readable passport holder, was one of many. He faced delays, unnecessary questioning at borders. His non electronic passport lacked biometric security and was easily damaged. So much so, when he goes to embassies to get a visa, he would have to sign a waiver in case of damage at his own risk. His story showed the urgent need for modern, secure identity systems. This was why This was why the Ethiopian government went for a bold identity upgrade by partnering with Topan Security for a strategic investment. They launched Ethiopia's first e-passport and a modern e-passport portal. And furthermore, they decided to build the capacity in country with the skills to also be transferred in country by building a state-of-the-art facility that we can actually produce e-passports here. The passport is more than just a document. It's about restoring trust, it's about enabling mobility, optimizing efficiency, and positioning Ethiopia as the global identity leader. The new e-passport, as you can see here, is going to be ICAO compliant and highly secure. Its features include an RFID chip, biometric data, a polycarbonate data page, and it's built with multi-layered security, both digital and physical. It's designed for trust, authenticity, and most of all, it's tamper resistant. This is exactly what Immigration and Citizenship Services wanted to achieve when they partnered with us on this project. It's the world's first passport with a dynamic gold foil cover. It looks elegant, but it's also tamper-proof. And most of all, it's proudly Ethiopian, with all of our culture and heritage showcased on every visa page, also boosting our tourism sector. It comes in four different types of tailored colors tailored to different citizen groups. It's built with Japanese standards, but produced right here in Ethiopia, supporting our local industry, bringing the knowledge and technology transfer in country and in continent, and building local skills and creating hundreds of jobs. Inside the passport, there are advanced security features, three hidden images visible only with special filters that you can see as you rotate through to different angles. It has an OVI ink that changes from gold to green. There's microtext, which is tiny writing only seen with a magnifier, but we've built in some deliberate flipped errors so that we can prevent forgery. Every detail is built for protection and trust. The data page, which you see here, includes high-level security features. It has an OVM, which is a color shifting image reacting to different background colors. It has a three-level hologram, which protects photo and personal information, an IPI between photo and biographic data, and an MLI second laser engraved portrait for added security. These layers make forgery nearly impossible for our passports. However, we didn't stop there. We have also built the e-passport portal, which complements the physical passport. This is a digital platform that enables Ethiopians to apply, track, and manage their documents online. The portal makes government services faster and more transparent. It gives the citizen that control over their documents, empowering them to basically go over their application throughout the entire journey and evolution of their application until they actually receive their passports, which was one of the issues that we used to have in the past. This is my favorite slide to show, not because it shows where Topan is doing business in Africa, but because it shows African countries are modernizing identity systems for a secure and efficient governance. And this makes me very proud because I am also African. We work with many different African countries on building different identity systems and solutions. We work on e-passports, national ID, AFIS, voter and electoral services, driving and vehicle systems, as well as social services, and which include pensions, grants, welfare, you name it. For those of you that I'm introducing Topantu for the first time, it's one of the world's largest and most trusted names in secure printing and technology. It's a Japanese company. Its global scale and continuous innovation make it a leader in identity and security solutions. And here in Ethiopia, partnering with the largest sovereign wealth fund in Africa, Ethiopian Investment Holdings, we have managed to create a state-of-the-art facility right here in the Horn of Africa. This landmark initiative positions us to extend our reach across the continent and serve our African neighbors with cutting-edge solutions. Me and my colleagues would like to invite you to our booth right outside to your left, where we'd like to meet you one-on-one, show you our passport in person, and go over our solutions and where we are on our factory. Thank you so much for your time.
We do have some time for a couple of questions, if you don't mind. Um, sort of, I'm looking at them, surveillance using state of art, which government agencies using, what is unique feature. Um, so the issue related to Ethiopia, um, this seems to come back again and again. What is the challenge of linking birth certificate with digital ID? You actually are not involved at all in that aspect, but passports are dependent on birth certificates. So you're just in the side of production of the passports.
Yes, we're on the side of production. We're building the systems with Immigration and Citizenship Services. But I do know that Immigration and Citizenship Services, National ID, and CSSRA, which handles our civil registration, these are all different government entities that are working closely together to produce these efficient solutions for the future. But again, yes, the mandate does not belong to me, so I think they'll be better positioned to answer this.
Um, are you are you at the
Would you like to?
is it on? Any case, I'll ask you and then you can repeat it.
Fine.
Is the production facility for passports in Ethiopia up and running? How long has it been running? And what has been the total production since inception?
Okay. So our local facility is currently under construction. It's going to be in the industrial park right here in Addis Ababa, not too far away. Will be We are in the middle of construction. We are supposed to be finishing construction in the next few months, and that's when we're going to start basically putting our machines in and starting operations. But we have already launched the passports with Immigration and Citizenship Services, where we're doing enrollment and perso within the immigration facility. But our production should be starting by the end of this year.
And it is both production of the booklet as well as personalization.
Yes, so we will be offering passports, ID cards, hopefully banking cards as well. We'll have a very large capacity, so it's not just to cater to the Ethiopian sector, but also to export to our neighboring countries with all of this. Yeah.
One last question coming from the audience. Can you explain what you meant by differences in groups when talking about the color of the passport?
Yes, so we have four different colors. One is ordinary, which we give for all citizens. Another one is diplomatic for all government officials. Service is for civil servants that require service passports, and the other one is alien for our refugees that we give passports to.
And those passports that you give to the refugees have the same, is it like a laissez-passer, or do they have the same rights of travel?
We have a laissez-passer on its own, but this one is
A
basically
real
an alien.
passport.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so please thank Kalkidan for this very interesting presentation, especially bringing in production into Ethiopia. We really like to see more of that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now we move on. I'm going to hand over the podium to a dear friend of mine who used to be who's actually the ambassador emeritus of ID for Africa from the Côte d'Ivoire, Konate, Diakalidia Konate, who is going to be the moderator for the next session on travel. So, Konate. Merci. Pardon? So, operator advanced.
Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to speak this morning in French, please, because it's my native language. So, nous allons parler aujourd'hui de l'identité numérique en pratique, les cas d'utilisation dans les voyages. Et c'est un grand honneur pour moi d'être le modérateur de ce sujet très stratégique et qui touche à l'humain. Et je voudrais signaler que nous vivons une très grande période de mobilité aujourd'hui qui pose des problèmes de sécurité et qui pose des problèmes de confiance. Donc, il nous appartient aujourd'hui d'avoir un recours à l'identité numérique pour garantir cette confiance, pour la renforcer et connecter les citoyens, bien entendu, aux services essentiels. Donc, pour notre keynote, nous avons deux invités de grande valeur qui vont nous parler de leurs expériences de terrain, de leurs entreprises. Et pour l'entreprise que nous allons recevoir ici, le représentant de l'entreprise, je veux appeler ici Monsieur Andy Smith. Monsieur Andy Smith est directeur senior chargé de l'industrie et de l'innovation à CITA. Please, sir. Je vous demande de l'applaudir, s'il vous plaît. Et avec lui, nous avons Monsieur Xavier Prost, qui est manager, directeur général et régional chargé des ventes à Mea Veridos, que je vous demande d'ovationner. Je signale que CITA est un acteur mondial majeur de la technologie dans le transport aérien. L'entreprise travaille dans les aéroports, les compagnies aériennes et avec le gouvernement sur la gestion de l'identité, des bagages et le contrôle aux frontières. Donc, je vais demander à Monsieur Andy de nous faire sa présentation et après cela, nous allons passer à la phase des échanges. Je vous remercie. Mr. Andy, you have the floor, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And may I first express CETA's thanks to Dr. Attic and the entire ID for Africa family for this opportunity to speak to you, to really share some experiences that we've had on what we've been talking about for the last couple of days on digital identities and how we can actually use those to benefit all. As a little bit of background, digital identities actually isn't new, and CETA has an 8-decade experience of working with airlines and airports, being a collaborative organization and helping those two sometimes difficult partners work together. And nearly three decades ago, we did the same thing with the Australian government, creating the world's first digital electronic travel authorization. Arguably, that's a form of digital identity as well. And that's certainly something I want to bring into this discussion of what is digital identity and what does it actually mean? Because I don't think there's one answer, but perhaps we can discuss that over the next few minutes. And I'm looking forward to some questions as well. So, why do we need this? This has already been discussed and it's already been mentioned a couple of times that I've heard this morning. It's about trust, it's about security, but fundamentally, it's about delivering a service. We are expecting huge increases in air passengers. We know that by 2040, we're going to see 8 billion people traveling through our airports every year. That's the current world population traveling through our airports. Africa is going to double even quicker than that. We cannot cope. The infrastructure cannot cope, and we can't build our way out of this problem. It's been a delight that following the massive impact of the pandemic, travelers want to get in the air again. They want to come and see countries. They want to visit friends and family. They came back far quicker than anybody expected. And the industry is struggling to adapt to that ever increasing volume of travelers. So we need a better way of processing our passengers. Not only that, we've reached a tipping point over the last few years. Travelers now want this. They are excited about the opportunities of taking digital identities, of taking their information, digitizing it, being in control of it on their phones, and then sharing it in return for a better experience. We regularly do a survey. In fact, for 17 years, we've been doing a passenger trend survey, open to all. I encourage you to look at it. And each year we've seen that increase in the willingness and the desire to use biometrics for a better experience. And it's not just the travelers that are demanding it. It's the airlines need this too. I talked about the lack of resource, the lack of capacity in their airports. They need people to deliver better quality data, and digital identity is a way of doing that. It avoids fines from inadmissible travelers. It avoids disruption from somebody not being able to complete their journey because they didn't have the right paperwork. And we can check these things way in advance of travel. Governments also want this. We all know governments want more and more data about us earlier and earlier in the travel process. But there's a problem. They don't trust the data they get, and for good reason. Sometimes as much as 50% of entered passenger data is wrong. We have to find a way that we can get better quality data to governments so they can actually trust the information they get and they can make better decisions. We've seen a massive explosion in the number of e-gates, automated border control gates that are in use to process immigration. And they've been a great step forward in helping us process legitimate travelers. But it still takes 35, 40 seconds to process a passenger through those gates. If you can move to face only, safe in the knowledge that the information you got was secure and trusted, we've seen border crossings in 8 seconds. Now, when it doesn't sound like huge changes, 30 seconds to 8 seconds, but if you reference back to the 8 billion travelers I'm going to have, 10 seconds times 8 billion equates to 2,500 operational years. That's what we're trying to avoid, is we're trying to get better processes. So travelers want it, carriers want it, and governments want it. Why? And why now? I mentioned the ETA. I would argue that's a form of digital identity. But we've also been using scans of passports for well over a decade. CETA was involved in one of the first pilots of the US CBP traveler verification system. In 2014, we were taking a copy of the passport, we were sharing it, we were doing biometric verification, and we were doing biometric boarding and biometric exit in one process, halving the time it took to board a 380, massively improving the convenience for the travelers. That was in 2014, 10 years ago. What's changed is we've now started to see some standards emerge. People like ICAO, the International Civil Aviation Organization, recognizing the need for the digitization of passport information. Now, of course, as we had from the earlier speaker, we need good foundational documents. We need documents that are compliant with ICAO 9303 standards. We need confidence and trust that the holder of that passport is the genuine one. And that's where the standards of extracting the information from the chip, storing it in a secure way, and then being able to share it using technologies such as verifiable credentials over trusted networks. It means that governments can then trust the information that they were sent electronically in advance as if they'd scanned the document themselves. If they can do that, they can then offer the convenience of biometrics. You can offer that seamless experience, that happy experience of flowing through an airport and crossing an immigration hall. That's what we need to deliver, and that's what we are delivering now. And I'm grateful to be part of the industry that is seeing this acceleration in the process. So what does this look like in practice? And what have we actually done practically about this? I'm sure you've all seen variations on this, the journey identified. But really the change now is that ability to take care of those document requirements while you're still at home. Unfortunately, airports are still confusing, crowded, and complicated places. They're intimidating for travelers, particularly those who don't travel frequently. Even for frequent travelers, I get confused in the airport environment. I don't want to have to try and find somewhere to do additional verification checks. So what we're working on now is that verification of travel documents, secondary documents such as visas, vaccination information, whatever it might be. Having that done at home. You as the traveler, in the comfort of your own home, in a relaxed, less time-dependent environment, being able to complete all those checks, then securely sharing it with the airline, and the airline being able to trust in that data and not having to put additional operational steps in place, such as forcing you to go to the airport to stand in line and have your documents manually checked. They trust the information because of the digital identity, the credentials, and the preserving way that that is shared. Once you've traveled to the airport, it should be the simplest matter of going up to self-bag drop. Sorry, apparently I need two microphones. It should be a simple matter of walking up to a bag drop and having your face recognized because you have decided to share it with the airport, with the airline. It knows who you are. You don't have to represent your passport, represent your boarding pass. It's all linked to your digital image and your biometrics. The same situation going through security. We're now to the situation where your boarding pass is secure in your back pocket and digitally secure and linked in a triangle of your passport, your face, and the boarding pass. So we're minimizing the opportunities for things like boarding pass swaps as well. So a greater degree of security. Boarding the aircraft, as I described. 10 years ago, we saw an operational improvement. We know that even time-dependent carriers, low-cost carriers who are looking for very short turnaround times, they know that they can have faster turnaround using biometrics and also safer and more secure because the data has already been checked and is securely stored. When you arrive at your destination country, again, as the traveler has decided to share their information, you can have that biometric arrival experience and just walk through the process. That frees up time for border control officers to actually help those passengers that need it. We move from an administrative role of wet stamping passports potentially into a much more customer service orientated role, helping those that need it and intervening with those that shouldn't be there, but giving them the time rather than being administrators, being border officers. Now, the journey does not stop at the airport. None of us travel to see an airport, or very rarely. Some of in the travel industry have to, but most of us are going to a destination for a reason. And that's digital identities, goes beyond the border, goes beyond the airport. It can be used for entry into a hotel. So again, in advance, the traveler, if you're one of those 80 countries that requires a copy of the passport, the traveler can decide to share that in advance. Share a digital copy of the data page, and instead of having to queue for another 30 minutes to check in, you can be sent a digital key. Or you can go to a key bank to have it recovered using a QR code, using your face, and being able to just enjoy going to your room. The same applies to sporting venues, sporting events. We've seen greater use of digital identities at almost every significant sporting event. And indeed, that was the catalyst for the relationship with Australia. It was the Sydney Olympics. We saw the same thing with Qatar and the Hire app as well. Digital identities being used, linked to hotel bookings too. So there's a great potential beyond the airport. And what does this mean for travel and tourism, and for Africa in particular? We've seen it. We have to have a balance of protection, but you cannot put up the barriers. We know the impact that increasing visa regimes has on travel and tourism. 5 out of 6 travelers will make a decision on where to go based on the immigration requirements, whether they need to go to a visa application center or whether they can have a visa waiver or a digital identity version. We have to have safe and secure travel, so tourists have the confidence to come where we want them to come. But we don't want tourists stood in immigration queues. They're not spending money when they're in an immigration queue. They need to be out in the country enjoying it. We want people to be tweeting for the right reasons, the enjoyable experience of arriving at a border, not blaming the country for once again having a 2-hour immigration queue. Africa has an advantage. There are many, many countries that have legacy systems that are proving to be very difficult to flip to the digital world and to take advantage of the digital world and the opportunities it presents. Africa can flip these. Digital identities don't always require complex components or technology. You can do verification with a smartphone. You can do verification with a tablet. And that opens up the ability to use biometrics at land borders, at maritime. Very portable, very cheap equipment, providing you have access to the digital identity. So we see a huge opportunity for digital credentials, not only in travel, but way beyond, into citizen services, into events, whatever the requirement is for an identity. If you can digitize it and you can trust it, you can take advantage of it. So this isn't a pipe dream. This isn't a collection of slides from CETA. This is real. It is happening now. You're going to hear more examples of real digital identity being used. Our favorite use case is Aruba, a small Caribbean island that is massively dependent on tourism, and it needed digital identity because people wanted to come back, but they weren't getting the right information. There was a lot of fraud around COVID recovery certificates. Up to 50% of passengers on a plane had fraudulent documents. So they needed digital identities. Not just digitizing the passport, but digitizing COVID recovery certificates. And then they could take advantage of it. Now, that was the first part of the trial. We added to that, that alongside IATA, there's also alongside ICAO, there are organizations and associations like IATA that have their own schema called One ID. And we wanted to prove that both could exist together. So we created a solution where one scan of the passport creates 2 identities for different use cases. And we got rid of those bottlenecks. We had shorter boarding times, we had the shorter border crossing times, and we had happier travelers. And this is what it looked like. Could we have the sound, please? I'm not going to try and sing along to it, to be honest. As you can see here, creating those travel-ready status. It does have sound, but okay. It's only a minute long. I can talk to it if needed. Now, many of you will probably look at that and go, we've seen it all before. Right. But in fact, you haven't, because that is it all coming together. The technology has been proven for years. The outbound biometric processing, the digitization of passports, the digitization of immigration arrivals. But bringing it all together has not happened before. And that's what we're looking for. Now, we're reiterating the messages here that I'm glad have already been shared. This is about trust, giving greater trust in the information that is required for travel and tourism, getting better trust in stakeholders in the journey. The public want this, but they want control. They want to know what is happening to their data. And that's where some of the principles that we've been talking about, them being in control and having the data on their phone and then sharing it with only those people that they want to. It is not going to be 100% of travelers want this, and nor should it be. But what we want to be able to do is enable that differentiated offering for those who want to take advantage of it, while still being able to use the same processes that work now for those that don't want to adopt a digital identity. But in order for this to succeed, we have to work together. An airline cannot deliver this by themselves. A tech partner cannot deliver it by themselves. An airport or a government cannot. It has to come together so we can get that collaborative environment and we can really deliver the benefits that digital identity is bringing and will continue to bring to the travel and tourism sector. And with that, I'd like to hand back to the moderator. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andy. I have some quick questions. Il y a deux questions qui reviennent dans le slide. Alors, basiquement, euh, basiquement, un participant veut savoir qu'est-ce que l'identité digitale? C'est quoi? Et à côté de cela, quelle est l'expérience la plus mature en matière d'identité digitale expérimentée par CITA en Afrique?
Thank you very much for the question. In terms of the maturity of digital identities, as I say, the ability to digitize your passport has been around for many, many years. And I think that's the most mature form. We need to see a continuing evolution and acceptance of standards. We need tech providers to be compliant with those standards and open about the weaknesses that it might have. Not all digital identities are created equal. And what we need to do is have the right digital identity and the right information for the right use case. In terms of Africa, we are working with a number of carriers who operate into and across Africa. We are looking forward to finding out more results from there in terms of the impact on operational efficiencies, cost savings. But we are always excited to have continuing discussions, and please come and see us at the stand and we'll look at how we might deliver these capabilities to your individual nations.
Ok. Alors, la seconde préoccupation, elle est relative au défi de l'interopérabilité. Quelle proposition CITA pourrait faire, sorry, CITA pourrait faire, dernière question s'il vous plaît, sur la question, pour résoudre la question de l'interopérabilité, parce qu'aujourd'hui, c'est l'un des plus gros challenges auxquels les autorités nationales en charge des frontières sont confrontées.
So the translation didn't work for me, I'm afraid, but I heard about interoperability. Interoperability, absolutely. Totally agree. Unfortunately, we are seeing siloed solutions that are coming out. CETA has worked with a number of partners and competitors to create something called the digital travel ecosystem. And this is what we want to create, an open for all, interoperable capability. So an identity created using a CETA solution can be verified at an IDEMIA gate, and vice versa. An IDEMIA created identity can be used in a CETA Smart Path airport or at a boarding gate for there. This democratization of digital identity, it's something that we've done with airport communications 75 years ago. We want to work with technology partners who are seen as competitors, but are also partners in this digitization of the travel experience, joining the ecosystem and making it easier for travelers to adopt digital identities, they don't need to know who the technology vendor behind it is. They don't know or care who the provider of an e-gate is. They just want to use the convenience.
Thank you very much. Je vous demande d'applaudir Mr. Andy. Nous sommes au terme du temps imparti, donc je vais inviter très rapidement Monsieur Xavier Prost de Veridas.
Should I use the mic? Good morning, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank Joseph Attic and the organization of ID for Africa for giving me the opportunity to present to you today a future concrete use case in Bangladesh. As you can see on the first slide, the purpose of this use case is to unlock the future of travel by enabling services, mobile passport services. And I would like also to take the opportunity to thank Andy for his presentation, and especially the workflow that he has presented. And you will see that our application could easily be integrated in this flow. Sorry, I'm missing the remote control. This one. All right. So as I told you, this is a future use case. So the service will be implemented this year, before the end of the year, in Q3 or Q4. And you can see that this application will offer different characteristics which will enhance the service for the citizen. The first one, which is quite obvious, this is the backup of the physical passport. This is based on the DTC type 1, so the ICAO specification. Then you can see different characteristics. The two next one, which are the digital enabling and the secure data sharing. What is very interesting there is that if you combine both characteristics, we are creating a new use case that we'll see later, which is the reassurance of the passport, which is the main use case for the development of these services in Bangladesh. Then the other characteristic, and they talk about that, this is the smart travel, where we can get e-visa, or also which can be used for fulfilling any application on the website using the data from your application to avoid any mistake. If we combine all these characteristics, we can see some benefit for the environment, because, of course, we'll reduce the paper reliance. So how the application looks like. If you have a look on the right side, so you will see the application. On the top of the screen, you will see the profile of the holder of the passport. If you click on this zone, then on the right side you will see on the screen appearing all the relevant data from the holder. These are the biographic data for sure, photography, but also something which is very interesting, which is the QR code, which is very useful for the people when they want to authenticate themselves. Then, if you go back on the left side, you will see some associated services, like as mentioned to you, the passport reissue, which is again the main use case in Bangladesh. The ETP, which is the emergency travel pass. In the next slide, I will give more details about all these services. You have the claim and helpline, but also additional features which are linked again to the digital identity with the e-sign service. All right. Okay, sorry. So now I would like to give you more details about the different services which are provided by this application. As I told you, for Bangladesh, the main use case is to reissue the passport. It could be for different reason. But let's say that the regular one, you are reaching the end of validity of your passport, and instead of going to any kind of office, you can do it from home using your application. And I will describe you more in details later how is the process. The second service that the application can provide to the citizen is the emergency travel pass, meaning that you are traveling, you are today in ID for Africa. Unfortunately, you are losing your passport. So how can you travel back home? Here again, you are using the services which will help you to contact your national authorities. Once they are aware, they will send you a document which will allow you to travel back home. Of course, this is one shot. You cannot use this document to travel all over the world. This is really to go back home. The claim management, this is a service which is also linked to the previous one, meaning that you are losing your passport and you want to report that to the authorities to be sure that nobody will use your ID in a way which is not allowed. Next one, well, often missing that in our daily life. This is the helpline support, which is a kind of customer service. If you have any kind of issue, then you can contact the authorities. And with this functionality, they will help you to solve your different issues. Then again, coming back to the presentation of Andy, there is, of course, the DTC, Digital Travel Credential. Again, very useful to get any kind of visa, and this is a very, very seamless and convenient process for the citizen. Then we have another functionality which is also very helpful in terms of security. This is to give you this opportunity to sign any kind of request. For instance, when you are using the functionality e-passport reissue, if you want to sign the request to the government or to the authorities, you can do it. And you can do it also for any kind of application that you will do later in terms of e-services. The next one is, I think, very interesting, especially when we are talking about financing. I mean, during the last days, we have talked a lot about PPP and how we can finance the different project. Here, this is interesting because this is the self KYC. And again, this is here a combination between national authorities who will provide to the citizen this application and the private sector. Meaning that in your daily life, if you want to open an account, you can go to the branch, but today you can also make some KYC at home. This is not so convenient. You have to be in front of the camera, you have to show your document, you have to move your document. Often this is not working, so the people are not using it. With this functionality, the people will be able to authenticate themselves, to authenticate their identity, and at distance they will be able to open an account. Or for insurance, they could have a new insurance contract, sign a new insurance contract, or even with MNOs, if you want to activate your SIM, it will work as well. We'll see later in the advantage that here you can create some revenue and you can finance your project there. So in the domain of the PPP, this is very crucial. Now, how does it work? How you can get this app working on your mobile? You will see this is a very easy, very seamless, very convenient process, which is in 6 steps. The first one, as usual, you have to download the app. So you go on the App Store, you're selecting the app, you are downloading the app on your mobile. Once this is done, you are opening the app and you are scanning the MRZ code from your passport. This step will help you to open the channel of communication and will allow to read the chip. by reading the chip, you will see the data popping up on the app. Then this is the step where you're going to review that everything is fine, that the data are right. And if you are fine with what you have on your screen, then you can validate this step. This is based on liveness detection and face recognition. When this is done, you can activate your app and you can use it for the different services that I have described. So you can see that this is a very, very easy process. Sorry, it went too fast. I'm not so good with this remote control. I should improve. Yeah, okay. So I would like to go a bit more into the detail of the reissuance of the passport, which is again the main use case for the development of this app. So you have seen previously how the application looks like. If you want to reissue so from your passport, you're going to press the reissue option. Then different kind of information will appear on the screen. You will select your options. So for instance, when we are talking about the type of booklet, this is the number of page. So you can select, you can choose the delivery type, you can choose the pickup location. Again, when you have made your choice, you have to validate it. Same process than before. This is based on liveness detection and face recognition. New source of revenue as well, because the people will have to pay. And this is, I think for the government, this is very reliable because they will pay directly on the platform. So the payment will be executed there. We have made this customized development, which is called EK Pay, which is very useful to connect, in fact, the citizen to the local payment platform. You have paid, so everything is working, and you are receiving the notification that the process is completed. You will receive also later another notification when your passport is ready. Then this is the issuance phase where the people will have to pick up their passport. And again, they will have to authenticate themselves. And this authentication will be made with fingerprint verification. So I think this is also a very important point for you. How are mobile e-passport services beneficial for your digital transformation? Let's see that. So in the case of Bangladesh, we can see three main advantages. Bangladesh, like a lot of countries, has defined a digital plan, which is called the Smart Bangladesh Vision 2041, which is the continuity of the previous plan, sorry, which was called the Smart Bangladesh Initiative. So you can see with what I've described up to now that this is really contributing to the vision of the country in terms of digitalization. Then, as I mentioned previously, you can see some new revenue for the government. What is important is that when we are talking about the revenue coming from the sector, most of the time, these revenue are corresponding to saving for the private sector. For instance, when we are talking about the bank, when they are making the authentication of the people with the digital identity, they are really reducing the cost of authentication compared to the previous time when the people were going to the branch and when an employee has to take care of the people. So in fact, here, the fee that the government will collect is based on the savings that the private sector is making. So this is beneficial for everybody. This is beneficial for the private sector because they are making some savings. This is beneficial for the government because they will collect new source of revenue. It's transparent for the citizen. There is no cost for them. And also, if we are talking PPP, then this is very attractive for the industry. The last advantage for Bangladesh is that this platform is really modular. So today I have described you some e-services, but I mean, of course, in the future, new services will come, new ideas will come, and we'll be in a position to integrate them. So we will continue to enhance the service which are delivered to the citizen. Last point that I would like to mention here, I mean, this development is an example of a successful technology partnership because the state of Bangladesh and those are engaged in a cooperation for a very long time. As you are maybe aware, we have built with the state of Bangladesh a factory, and we are operating together this factory. I think the figures are quite impressive because since 2020, more than 17 million e-passports have been issued. Today, we are producing more than 25,000 e-passports per day. We have worked also with Bangladesh on the setup of the regional passport offices, bringing the technology, same thing abroad with the foreign mission. And last but not least, we have provided also more than 50 e-gates. So we are continuing to work in a very partnership with Bangladesh on all this topic. And then I would like to thank you for your attention. And if you have any question, please don't hesitate to visit us on the booth, which is very close to here, the P102, the close of very close. Thank you very much.
Merci d'accompagner M. Prost à sa place. Alors, il y a une question qui revient pour vous deux en même temps, hein, la question de land border, c'est-à-dire les frontières terrestres. Jusqu'à présent, on parle de frontières aériennes, mais les frontières terrestres. Quelles sont les réponses que vous pouvez apporter? Parce que quand on regarde la configuration de la mobilité en Afrique, elle est beaucoup plus par les routes que par les avions. Quelle solution vous apportez à cette problématique?
Je dirais que
Après, Andy pourra en dire un mot.
je dirais que les solutions sont les mêmes dans le sens où quand on fournit des solutions de border control, bien souvent on commence par les aéroports, on poursuit avec les ports et on poursuit avec les frontières terrestres. Quel que soit l'endroit où les gens peuvent transiter, le principe est exactement le même et la solution est la même. Souvent, en fait, pour des questions de financement, on commence les déploiements par les aéroports, mais la technologie est exactement la même et on répondra de la même façon à n'importe quel point de frontière.
Mr. Andy, you have something to say?
Yes, I agree. I think there is that natural progression from airports to seaports to land borders. I do think, however, digital identity does create an opportunity for land borders, as I was describing, using much cheaper technology. So tablets and smartphones replacing complex concrete and expensive e-gates. And the connectivity as well. Obviously, mobile connectivity is cheaper than satellite connectivity potentially. So I think there is a really exciting opportunity for land borders to take use of digital identities.
Merci beaucoup. Alors, il y a une question qui revient, c'est la question de la sécurité des données. Tout à l'heure, il y a quelqu'un qui a posé la question. Si vous perdez votre passeport, vous avez trouvé une solution, mais et s'il y a le e-passeport? Et puis, comment le dialogue se fait avec l'autorité, en fait, de l'autre pays? Voilà. Je ne sais pas si vous comprenez la question. Et
Oui.
puis maintenant, à côté de la sécurité, il y a la question de la protection des données.
Alors, la protection des données, elle est assurée puisqu'effectivement, on utilise toutes les technologies et les certifications nécessaires. Ce qui nous manque parfois, c'est des accords entre les pays, comme vous l'avez mentionné. Dans le cas présent, il y a il y a un accord bilatéral pour cette application qui a été mis en place entre le Bangladesh et la Malaisie. Donc, bien souvent, en fait, je pense que ce sont aussi des problèmes au niveau politique qui doivent être résolus. Et nous, en tant qu'industriels, nous sommes là pour apporter les meilleures technologies. Et la meilleure technologie, c'est la technologie qui est utilisée par tout le monde. Donc, elle doit trouver son compromis entre le niveau de sécurité exigé et la facilité d'utilisation pour les citoyens.
Andy?
If I can do it, bilateral arrangements between governments are great, but they take years and they can be very political by their nature. I think what we're going to see is an increasing direct relationship between traveller and government. And therefore, it's not a question of sharing from one government to another. It's you as the empowered traveller deciding if you want to share your digital identity and biometrics with each of the governments in the travel, your origin, your transfer, and your destination government. You are in charge. Therefore, we remove some of the privacy issues.
Merci. Une dernière question. Peut-on imaginer une identité digitale continentale ou régionale? Et quelle pourrait être votre contribution à la résolution de ces problématiques?
On peut l'imaginer aisément et c'est une question d'interopérabilité, c'est une question de spécification. À partir du moment où il y a des spécifications régionales qui sont acceptées, c'est un peu le principe du passeport. Aujourd'hui, avec l'ICAO permet cette interopérabilité. Et je pense que les sujets qui ont été abordés, notamment par Agnès Diallo sur l'interopérabilité dans le digital, est extrêmement important. Encore une fois, l'industriel apporte la solution technologique. Il y a une réponse politique qui est importante et cette réponse, elle passe par des spécifications qui soient communes, régionales, de manière à ce que l'identité digitale soit reconnue de la même façon dans tous les pays, comme aujourd'hui c'est le cas pour les passeports.
Andy?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I would, if I can leave you with one thought, digital identity is not just digitizing the passport. Digital identity is anything that is required as part of a journey, and that can include regional arrangements, nomad visas, whatever it might be. Digital identity is about much, much more than just the passport. It's about digitizing and safely and securely sharing whatever information is required for whatever part of your journey.
Merci beaucoup. Je vous demande de les ovationner. OK. Je vous demande de les ovationner. On vient de finir. On a parlé des cas d'usage, on a parlé des technologies, des innovations, on a parlé surtout d'inclusion. Et je pense que l'avenir de l'Afrique se trouve dans la mobilité. Le développement durable de l'Afrique se trouve dans la mobilité et nous comptons sur Veridas et CITA pour accompagner le continent africain. Je vous remercie.
Merci.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to introduce the last session of this morning. We'll start the session by the pool. This pool is very important for us because many of African countries are in the process of starting the digitalization in the healthcare sector and using digital ID in healthcare sector. The pool will address the biggest concern on digital ID in healthcare sector. Operator, please. Can you launch the poll? And we'll want the maximum of you to participate to the poll because the poll will be an advice that ID for Africa will give to our government. You have those questions below. And we want you to participate first in the poll. So you have around 1 minute to answer. Please, if you can participate to the poll. Donc, mesdames et messieurs les participants, donc, nous commençons d'abord cette session par un sondage. Et dans ce sondage, nous voulons savoir quels sont aujourd'hui les principaux points que nous devons adresser dans le cadre d'une stratégie de digitalisation ou de l'identité digitale dans le secteur de la santé. Vos réponses en tant qu'experts nous sont très précieuses parce que ça permettra à ID for Africa d'accompagner les gouvernements pour prendre en compte ces préoccupations dans le cadre de leur processus de digitalisation. OK. OK. Good. Thank you, operator. Now we can stop the poll. Nous allons arrêter donc le sondage. And as we see in the global answer, the main concern is privacy of sensitive medical data. La confidentialité des données médicales, c'est la principale préoccupation qui ressort dans le cadre de la digitalisation. Nous vous remercions de votre participation. Now we're going to start the session with the first speakers, who is Mr. Moses Kwesi Biden Jr., CEO and founder of Margin ID Group. Please welcome Mr. Biden. Mr. Biden will have 50 minutes for his presentation and 5 minutes to answer to the question. You can put the question directly in Slido. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Dr. Asig and the wonderful ID for Africa team for providing such a wonderful platform for exchange of ideas. I'd like to recognize before I start the immediate past Executive Secretary for the National Identification Authority of Ghana, the great Professor Kenneth Atefua, and then the current National Identification Authority Executive Secretary of Ghana, Wisdom Deku, the dynamic Wisdom Deku. It's because of that partnership that I'm here today to discuss how we can unlock digital identity. And the base use case to look at how this can be done is the health case. Do I have this one? Good. So the way to solve a problem really at the base is to first to define it categorically. Because if we do not define the problem, we find out the solutions that we advance do not work as well as they should in real life. In Ghana, our example has been, as in many African countries, the data was kept in silos. They were not uniform. They were collected specifically for a specific purpose. So the data label fields were not enough to serve as a foundational database to be distributed across platforms and to be harmonized. The lack of a legal confirmation, that legal identity on which the digital ID was built, was also lacking in terms of the legal framework and how to establish that through a robust process that can be reliable. Therefore, one of the big foundations of a foundational database, which is to scale and facilitate efficient and effective government services, was flawed, leading to inefficient public service delivery, leakages, and fraud. Before you can commit a crime or engage in any antisocial behavior, you need to wear a mask. This mask can be physical, but it can also be digital. The National Identification System of Ghana is based on building a foundational database that covers all fields that public and private sector people use, that can be trusted, that has a legal framework that is gone through a process that is covered by the citizenship law and can be relied on third parties. Basically, the NI provides a service of trust by assuring other people who receive data sets that they are allowed by law to receive that the data is verified and authenticated by NIA. So on that basis, the government provides services, and health is one of the basic services that governments have to provide to their citizens. Food, clothing, shelter, and health is basic. The rest will be left to the ingenuity of the private sector in the frameworks for advancing economies. Therefore, the structure of the data that we collect must be enough to work both as a physical identity. That means that identity can be verified physically, where we are completely off grid. At the same time, the data fields that the identity collects into the database and places on the card must be such that the identity can be distributed to other third parties seamlessly while you do transactions in an efficient manner. The biometrics must be authenticatable, and this must be the basis for delivering public services like health. It must also create room for private sector to innovate around the fulcrum of this foundational database. It will also enable health practitioners, both private and public, to innovate around this foundational database, bring up products that plug into the foundational database, seamlessly deliver services, either in the physical world, in the digital world, online, offline, cloud presence, or not. But this has been like the role of digital identity in Ghana. Now, before the national ID data system was established, the National Health Insurance System had its own database. Out of the 19 subsystems that formed the national ID system, the National Insurance System had about 12 of them, and the government was paying for both of them. This National Insurance System only covered the data the National Insurance System needed. It was expensive because of the dual payment. There was no interoperability between the National Insurance System and the National ID system, and there was no foundational database. There were high levels of impersonation and fraud, both in access services, in making claims, and in getting to pharmacies for drugs. So it lacked the integrity in the tracking of patients, and it lacked creating a large data set of health activities that could be analyzed in order to be able to operationalize and make more efficient the health service. This lack of a united, reliable foundational database that covers all data fields with the right data sets and with the right profiles that allows credentialing on all platforms was a big problem in the health system. It cost a lot of money. It also didn't address the manner in which Africans move around and have mobility in order to access health service. So the national ID system, creature of law. In 2007, the NIA enacted two laws, 700, 750, in order to give the NIA the power to collect it from the national database to distribute it. The first national ID system failed for several reasons that I won't go into. But most of all, it was efficiencies of government bureaucracy, and lack of resources to sustain it, the centralized printing of ID cards and distributing that caused it to fail. So in 2012, Margins ID Group gave the government of Ghana an unsolicited proposal to reorganize what was in the government service into a public-private partnership. It was in that year that the LI 2111 was enacted, which gave the framework for this PPP. The main fulcrum of PPP was to allocate risk so that the private partner will be in charge of designing, conceptualizing, building, financing, and cooperating the technical system, while the government party, which had the mandate, will continue the functions of supervisory role, education, making sure the privacy laws are enacted, training, etc., and operating the technical system, and making sure that the data privacy laws of Ghana, and indeed in Europe and the rest of the world, were also compliant. So, what was the solution? The solution is in the conceptualization of how the ID is supposed to be used in real life. For instance, the Ghana card is not just a card. The card is a manifestation of the realities of the African environment. But the national ID system then provides more alternatives for every possible use case, whether be it at an off-grid location, at an offline location, with card present or not card present. So we opted in the conceptualization of it to do an instant issuance of the card. When I say instant issuance, we're talking about one of the largest instant issuance programs in the world. Over 6,000 personalization centers, whether be it in Washington, New York, Accra, Cape Coast, behind the river, behind the mud huts, or a place that is totally off grid. By employing an instant issuance and a deferred issuance solution, and ensuring that the card itself had the requisite international profiles to connect securely to any platform. So on the color card, we have three profiles: an AID profile, e-passport profile, which is now ODS 2.0, and running an e-passport profile, which can be used to connect to all kinds of services, as has been discussed before. The match on cloud profile also allows you to authenticate a person, whether there's connection to the national network or not. So by providing all these avenues, it is possible to derive a digital identity using the NFC function of the card and to create digital ID for the 40% of people who have smartphones in Ghana, most of whom have multiple smartphones. So you're talking about 20%. So whether you're in a village on a border or you're a smart middle class person with a smartphone, or the internet cable gets cut, so there's no internet service, the National ID system of Ghana is able to authenticate, verify, and provide a health service. Because a health service, it doesn't matter what technology you use. When you are dying, your ID may be important, but your life is even more important. So National ID in Ghana gives you all these avenues to verify. So the foundational pillar that supports a robust, efficient, and effective health system in Ghana, I dare say that will support in most of Africa, is to have those multiple channels to prove your ID, whether online or in person, and to present this as a verification online or in person at the health center so that you can be verified. Now, once you get verified, the rest of it, whether it's consultant, teleconsultant, whether it's e-hospital, whether it's e-pharmacy, it's about establishing your identity and connecting to your data set securely and having people who are authorized to do so also able to credential to a health service cloud or model and be able to authenticate like a doctor has a right to your medical services. So the benefits of the Ghana card has really revolutionized the way the government delivers the health service in Ghana. Apart from the efficiency and the effectiveness of the digitized process, there's also the cost savings. It is calculated by eliminating the national insurance card and letting the national health insurance rely on the national ID card and to rely on the subsystem of the national ID, authenticate and credential all the various platforms, and to also derive a national health insurance that citizens can use to interact with the National Health Insurance Authority. The government saves $30 million annually for the cost of national ID because the national insurance card by relying on the national ID card. And this is just one application of the use cases for a national ID card. There's several of them, but restricting it to health. A national ID card, as conceptualized, designed, and built like the Ghana card case, creates two big foundations. One for e-commerce and one for e-government services. The e-government services like health, it eliminates the human factor, it eliminates errors, provides accurate information on time when people are in hospital in times of emergency, whether they have a phone or not. There are examples of people being found at accident scenes, having their Ghana cards, and they're able to be being verified, and the families are able to be located. So this covers all use cases that are possible. So the message that you must take with you that the reliable, legally compliant, certified national ID database that covers the whole population is a key for credentialing to government services. And in Ghana, health is key. Today, we have registered 98% of the adult population 15 and above. And we have started a process where we're now registering babies at birth. And children between the ages of 6 and 15 are being registered in schools as we speak. The more the population is covered, the more comprehensive the database, the more channels for credentialing the services wherever you are, physical, digital, online, offline, at present, at not present. The more the government can deliver service right to the full step of its citizens in any circumstances. So this resultant national ID gives a baby who's born a unique national ID number that linked to their records, either at weighing or at immunization. It immediately, in seconds, also connects a qualifying parent's nationality to their Ghana card, and the two are linked. And this is from birth to death, effectively policing the entry gate to the national database and also the exit gate of deaths, whilst compiling data for clever planning, for better use of artificial intelligence, and for better delivery of government services efficiently. So, the properly structured national ID database can create IDs, physical, digital, online, offline, offers the possibility to create data sets that encompass 360-degree information on the whole health ecosystem and unified health records that can be of use for planning, for budgeting, for effective treatment of people, for statistics, and also for delivering efficient health services without any human interface. The future of Ghana healthcare is bright because the robustness of the national ID system is globally recognized as best in class. E-health, e-pharmacy, and everything digital is possible with this great foundation. But it is important that we also build capacity in Africa because digital sovereignty, the ownership of data, and so on is important. With the advent of AI and quantum computing, and the fact that code can be broken in seconds, it is important that even as we digitize, we preserve the channels of business continuity and risk, and that we also collaborate not just in the global West, but globally, in order to have ideas across. Because good ideas come from everywhere, including Africa. And Dr. Teague, I'm impressed that at least there are two African technology companies here. Margins is one of the leading ones that are doing national IDs in multiple African countries. I think that the ID for Africa should bring more African technologies on board because a successfully well thought of ID system that has global collaboration builds best practices. National ID goes beyond just technology. It's a way that we use technology to solve life problems. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moses, for this very impressive presentation. So now we have many questions in the screen, and the first one is, as government official, what are you looking for when identifying procuring technological solution for health sector issues?
Just one clarification. I'm not a government official. I'm a private sector. I'm the chief executive of the Margins Group. The Margins Group is a private sector partner of the National Identity Authority of Ghana. And the executive secretary of the National Identity Authority was our boss, our senior partners here, Mr. Weku, and the past immediate secretaries here. We are a private sector partner that conceptualized, designed, financed, and is operating a PPP, a very innovative PPP model with the government of Ghana that's world acclaimed and very successful. So the question is, it can be done from a private sector angle.
The next one
one is what steps have been taken to ensure that rural and underserved population can access NHI services? As I explained, the design of the system is based on the environment in which the system is supposed to be operating. So in Ghana, we're issuing this national ID instantly, and we're going to the people because access and logistics to these different places behind rivers and places on islands and places where you're off grid dictates that the technology must follow the use cases, not the other way around. You know, in most cases, people try to force technology on people that doesn't fit within the environment in which it's supposed to act. And you'll see that from the results. But in Ghana, we're doing instant issuance. We're going to every single village and we're issuing this ID from interview to receiving the card between 30 minutes to 45 minutes instantly. And so people are walking away with a card. And when there are areas where they are off grid or they are offline situations, we have solutions that allow the card to be used. In the case of healthcare, if people turn up in a hospital with a Ghana card, there's an ocular physical inspection possible. It's also possible to read the card offline with a device and be able to get the verification code. You're also able to do it online. You're able to do it without any card being present. If you went to the hospital and presented your 10 fingerprints or multiple fingerprints in your face, you can be verified and service can be given.
Thank you. We have many questions in this session, but quickly, what percent of the population have the Ghana card, and do you try to cover the rest of the person who do not have the
As we
national ID
speak,
card?
98%. In Ghana, we prioritize the commercially active people first in order to be able to get some traction in commercially active people. And from there, we started with babies from birth so that we cover the entry to the database. Babies are getting their national ID at the point where they are being weighed or they're taking their first immunization. At that point, their health record information is connected to their mother's or national ID number. And when that is requested from the mother, immediately sends, when there's a biometric match, sends the new national ID number for the baby to the Ghana Health Service and to the National Health Insurance Authority and to the birth certificate people in real time. Okay. Then between 6 to 15, it's easier to register these parties in school because in Ghana, education from primary to senior high school is compulsory. So we register those so they can all come on board. So that way we cover every use case. Thank you. But I mean, you can come to our booths in Pavilion 212 and see the verification that we're doing. I've been verifying from Ghana here.
Thank you.
In real time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moses. We have many other questions in the pool, but we do not have enough time to answer them. People can be free to contact you during the lunch to ask you directly the question. Thank you very much. Please applaud Mr. Moses. Now, for the next speakers, we do not have one, but we have two speakers. We have Mr. Eric Ngeti and Mr. Thomas Antolik. Mr. Eric Ngeti is a sales director of Akieni, and Mr. Thomas Antolik is a sales director of Innovatrix. Welcome to the stage. We'll start.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be with you this morning. I'm Erin Genti, Sales Director from Akieni. I'm coming from Congo, Brazzaville, and Cameroon. And I'm here with my partner, Thomas. And we are going to present you the transformation of the healthcare and the biometric system that we put in place for the universal health insurance, social security in the Republic of Congo. The transformation of the healthcare. In Congo, we have functional ID system who are existing. Universal healthcare, that is the pain that we have. the prevention of the fraud, and two types of biometric system. But these are some of the issues that already have been presented by our representative before us, and also this issue they have. Thomas?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tomasz Antolik again. I'm the Director of Sales of the EMEA region in the Matrix. And for this project, in order to meet the requirements of robustness and also trusted registration and verification of the recipients of the healthcare services, we were asked at Innovatrix to provide a automated biometric identification system that some of you might be familiar with. And it was actually decided that for this project, the system will not work with just one, but actually two different modalities, biometric modalities, that is fingerprints and face. And the reason was to make sure that nobody is excluded, even people with some physical attributes, such as for example, manual laborers whose fingerprints are not of such a good quality, some skin conditions or any other such conditions would not be excluded and still have the full access to the healthcare services. And also, we were asked to provide a biometric registration module that would, however, work with the existing enrollment solution that was already there and provided by our partner, KEYNOTE, and to make sure that it links and integrates seamlessly with the existing registration system, because this was the most cost-effective and seamless solution, which is, however, not exactly what actually happens in most other projects. But we found this solution to really meet the requirements of the project, to not just be robust, seamless, but also very cost-effective. Thank you.
Donc, comment se passe la journée d'enrôlement? On a 3 étapes clés qui sont celles de l'enregistrement, donc dans un premier temps. Ensuite, un pré-enrôlement qui est fait auprès des différentes populations et équipes qui ont été choisies. Et l'enrôlement se fait de manière automatique et à travers donc les sites du CAMU qui ont été recensés. Le pré-enrôlement se fait à travers le portail. Donc, il y a un portail qui a été mis en place et à partir duquel il y a un pré-enrôlement qui est fait par les populations. 7 stations aujourd'hui dans 3 villes sont présentes et effectives. Et à partir de là, des équipes présentes sur le terrain avec les équipements et les appareils donc permettent justement d'enregistrer et de prendre en fait toutes les données physiques des personnes qui se présentent. Et ces informations, bien évidemment, sont dupliquées et sont vérifiées au niveau de la base. Donc là-dessus, vous avez un exemple un peu d'enrôlement, donc au niveau de la base biométrique, donc avec la reconnaissance physique et puis l'identification de la personne. Là, vous avez les empreintes, mais ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que qui peut le plus peut le moins. Le système aujourd'hui prend effectivement les empreintes des 10 doigts, mais la particularité, c'est que l'on peut définir demain une séquence d'empreintes au niveau de l'identification. Ce n'est pas uniquement le pouce ou l'index. On peut décrire une séquence qui peut être l'index, pouce et autres, comme une carte bleue, voilà, pour pouvoir se connecter donc à l'équipement. Ça permettra de sécuriser un peu plus le système lorsqu'une personne voudra se rendre par la suite dans un établissement ou pharmacie par la suite. Au niveau de la vérification, on a un identifiant unique qui est fourni par la plateforme et qui permet effectivement à chaque point où on va se rendre d'être identifié et de s'assurer que la personne est bien la bonne personne qui a été enregistrée préalablement. Et cette identification-là se fait en ligne, mais aujourd'hui peut se faire offline dans les versions suivantes dans le cadre du projet. Donc aujourd'hui, donc la phase d'entraînement avec les équipes de la CAMU ont été réalisées. 6 groupes de population ont été identifiés séparément. Et on a aujourd'hui un enrôlement qui a débuté depuis 2023 avec à peu près 3000 personnes, donc qui déjà aujourd'hui l'utilisent, de manière à pouvoir après passer sur une phase de production à grande échelle sur tout le territoire, sachant que nous avons à peu près, comme l'a dit Thomas, 3 millions de personnes et quelques. Dans un deuxième temps, nous avons bien évidemment rattaché au ministère de la fonction publique et du travail et de la sécurité sociale deux entités. Donc, vous avez la CAMU pour la partie couverture santé universelle et vous avez la Caisse nationale de sécurité, donc qui est un fonds auquel les entreprises contribuent. Et donc là-dessus va se proposer un problème, effectivement, de base de données et comment faire merger ces deux éléments-là tout en gardant effectivement la partie légale.
Yes, and as some of you might be able to imagine, such a last-minute change request, which actually came halfway through the delivery of the original AB system and the identity system. This is quite a big change when it comes to the architecture and the entire setup of the solution, and it's something that we had to overcome last minute, halfway through the actual delivery of the original solution. Because now we were asked to effectively host not just the data of one single tenant, one single agency, specifically the healthcare system, but also now do the same with the very same single system, single instance, and actually single enrollment application, also to cater for the social security. But we overcame this, and maybe if you jump to the next, thank you. The main concerns with the data privacy and the access rights, which was actually also from the poll one of the main concerns of the audience. This was something that we had to address first and foremost, and we managed to do that, I believe, successfully in the end, with actually the minimum cost impact, and also I believe virtually no impact on the delivery timeline, because this was also a very strict requirement. We, of course, managed to update the data structure to now be able to cater to both the healthcare system and the social security system. But originally, what was expected, of course, is that the people would be also identified based on their healthcare ID number. This was no longer usable, because now you could also have people that would have only their social security number, or of course people who are part of both systems, but you still need one unique identifier. So we had to implement and come up with a new universal ID within this joint system. And we also had to adjust the front-end registration system that I mentioned before, because it was also a requirement that it would still be one front-end application to keep it lean, keep it seamless, not to have multiple different applications for different use cases. Because I think the idea is that maybe in the future also other government services would be joining this initiative. And then finally, but actually not least, we also had to make sure that we cover any privacy concerns, so that the decision was made that the biometric system, the identity system, would only host the core basic demographic and biometric data, not data specific to either healthcare and social security. And then it would be on the administrator level that any such data would be kept separate from this system, so that even if somebody has access to the biometric system, they would not be able to see any data, whether they come from the social security side or the healthcare side, and they would not see any data that they should not be seeing for this person. And I believe we managed to, by these few simple steps, that also with a very minimum cost impact, halfway through the delivery, we actually very quickly managed to adjust the system and create a multi-tenant system for the government.
Donc, dessus, les résultats que nous avons effectivement obtenus, c'est de pouvoir effectivement de rendre universel, donc au niveau du gouvernement, cette identification-là, centraliser toutes les données, et puis je dirais optimiser les coûts financiers qui vont être investis là-dessus. Et derrière, nous avons bien évidemment pensé aux API pour introduire la partie paiement, donc au niveau des plateformes de paiement, de manière à ce que tout ce qui va être transaction au niveau de la plateforme puisse être intégré et lié directement avec les autres acteurs que nous avons dans l'écosystème financier. Donc, qui nous sommes à Kenny? À Kenny, nous sommes une entreprise donc basée à Brazzaville et nous exerçons dans le domaine de l'IT, dans tout ce qui est développement. Nous avons des développeurs essentiellement dans nos équipes, full stack, tous les profils, designers et autres. Et nous travaillons aujourd'hui, je dirais, sur les projets gouvernementaux, mais le secteur public aussi. Et nous avons une Akieni Academy qui nous permet effectivement de prendre les étudiants dans les écoles d'ingénieurs, de les former et de pouvoir effectivement en faire un vivier pour être demain les acteurs en fait locaux qui permettront de développer des solutions pour les besoins locaux en Afrique, au Congo principalement et sur la zone CEMAC. Et pour cela, nous travaillons effectivement avec Innovatrix, qui est notre partenaire.
Yes, thank you. Here, we at Innovatrix are really happy that we had the chance to participate in this project and actually put to good use our more than 20 years of experience in delivering such biometric and identity solutions globally, all around the world, to many countries and literally hundreds of projects. And I believe we put this to good use also to address some of those last minute special requirements and hopefully ultimately deliver a very, very robust system that will bring a lot of benefits to the citizens of Congo Brazzaville. Thank you.
Pour le mot de fin, je dirais que dans le cadre de notre projet, et puis je pense un peu à tous les autres projets qui ont lieu en Afrique, à l'instar de ce que Akieni aujourd'hui avec Innovatrix fait, nous invitons, et effectivement ce serait notre vœu pour cette fin de session, tous nos partenaires que nous avons dans le monde à venir s'installer en Afrique, ouvrir des plateformes de production, matériel, équipement, d'être présents en Afrique. On a besoin de vous sur le terrain. Donc c'est bien, effectivement, nous avons plusieurs stands, mais je pense que là où on vous attend aussi, c'est d'implanter des unités de production localement, de manière à pouvoir avoir des deals gagnant-gagnant et un développement qui va dans le sens, effectivement, de cette cohésion entre les pays africains et les partenaires étrangers. Merci.
Je vais vous asseoir. Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas and Mr. Eric. You are right to talk about the transfer of technology. It is very important to make the transfer of technology in Africa because we need to build the capacity in Africa. We need to have African who can build solution for African government. We have some questions. The first one is why you do not use the national ID identification number like Ghana show earlier. Pourquoi vous n'utilisez pas la carte nationale d'identité, l'identité nationale, comme identité unique pour les deux systèmes?
Très bonne question. Nous avons effectivement fait un checking de la base de données des cartes d'identité du NIU. Et malheureusement, à l'origine, lorsque les cartes ont été faites, elles n'ont pas été faites dans un format, je dirais, récent, up-to-date. Bon, nous avons bien évidemment les données physiques, nom, prénom, date de naissance, lieu de naissance, mais malheureusement, nous n'avons pas de données biométriques qui permettraient de confondre l'utilisateur physique avec celui numérique. Bon, ce qui fait que nous avons même dans la base de données existante des personnes dont les identités physiques ne sont pas les bonnes, c'est-à-dire que ça a été rempli un petit peu à la va-vite, on va dire. Donc, ce qui fait que on ne pouvait pas s'appuyer sur cette base. Et c'est pour ça que le travail aujourd'hui que nous avons fait avec les équipes de la CAMU va être, je dirais, précurseur pour mettre à jour les bases de données et pour synchroniser, on parlait d'interopérabilité, la base de données avec justement les nouvelles données biométriques qui vont être collectées avec les 3 millions de personnes qui seront onboardées dans la base de la CAMU.
Donc, ça répond à la question qui vient d'être posée pour savoir est-ce que ça veut dire que les empreintes digitales, les deux services sociaux utilisent leur propre système pour collecter la biométrie ou est-ce qu'ils se basent sur le système national d'identité? Je pense you have already answered these questions, but I will, due to the time that left to us, I will ask you directly the three questions, the three remaining questions. So you will answer to them together. Okay. The first one is how do you handle the enrollment of individuals with poor fingerprint quality? Comment vous gérez les cas des personnes qui ont des empreintes digitales de très mauvaise qualité? Et l'autre question aussi, c'est de savoir how the unique ID is delivered. Is it delivered based on biometric, based on biography, or base it on the system directly.
So maybe I can answer the fingerprint quality related question. It's a very good question. And of course, in the Innovatrix biometric system, we first and foremost check the quality to make sure that only fingerprints of sufficient quality are registered and passed and then used for whether deduplication, identification, or verification. The good thing is that firstly, our system can work also with subpar fingerprints when it comes to quality. So we do not require just the top quality to also provide top accuracy. So that's one thing. Secondly is, of course, everybody we have, or most people have 10 fingerprints and in two hands. So even if some of the fingerprints are of a lower quality, some others do have sufficient quality. And in our system, because of the very high accuracy, we need sometimes as little as 1 or 2 fingers out of the 10 in order to provide accurate, reliable identification or verification. So even if some fingerprints are even virtually unusable, some of them, in most cases, are usable. And finally, it's exactly as I mentioned, the system was from the very beginning designed to use 2 different modalities. So even if somebody had no usable fingerprints or no fingers at all, we could still fully rely on the face biometrics, on the face modality, and we can perform all the functionalities, whether it's the initial deduplication to make sure that the registration is unique, or subsequent identification or verification purely with face biometrics and not even needing fingerprints if that's the case with any individual.
Thank you very much. I have a last question, but before this question, I would ask to the public to stay 1 minute. My colleague Amandine has an important announcement to do. The last question is, où en est le gouvernement du Congo actuellement sur son processus de modernisation de la carte d'identité nationale? In which stage is actually the Congo government in the process of modernization of his national ID system?
Je crois que nous avons un représentant justement du service en charge de ça. Il pourra nous répondre, je pense peut-être lors du networking session tout à l'heure. Mais effectivement, ils sont dessus et nous collaborons effectivement sur ces chantiers-là à KEYNOTE pour les accompagner avec aujourd'hui les technologies disponibles.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are at the end of the session, and I would like to thank you very much for this presentation and to ask to the public to applaud those speakers. Thank you very much.